Hello there, Swing Catalyst community. My name is Joe Ingoglia. I come to you from Long Island, New York, on this rainy day of Hurricane Henry, and we wanted to give everybody a little bit of a viewpoint on how I use Swing Catalyst, or at least in this specific lesson, and how it helped this particular student, Alex Brickman, who Alex is about an 8 handicap, played college golf. After graduating college, played in the Ivy League up here in the Northeast for Brown University. After playing for Brown, took some time off, about 10 years, was on Wall Street, living in New York City. And now he's getting back into it thanks to COVID, got him back on Long Island, playing a lot of golf. And what we discuss in this particular lesson is why he has such a drastic two-way miss, especially certainly off the tee, but even with his iron. So what we start to look at is in transition as he would come down, club would kind of get a little bit behind him, and he'd start fighting it, and he had the normal high handle raise, a lot of slide in the lower body, and naturally with the sliding of the lower body, he had a lot of right side bend through impact, resulting in a lot of club face flip, and we could certainly see how his body stalled through impact, and he tried holding everything on. Now, certainly still able to hit golf shots, but obviously was losing a little bit of speed in the leakage department, as well as just control of the overall ball. So anyway, so this is Alex. This is about 10 minutes into the golf lesson, and I highlight that simply because as this conversation pertains to how I use the force plate, just showing Alex what should be happening in his lead leg at impact versus what was happening in his lead leg really woke him up. So we took a few practice swings, little half swings, half speeds, for him to really understand what we were shooting for. Now, what you'll notice here is as we come down through impact, we have an entirely different golfer. Now, is this a little exaggerated? Perhaps. Or am I okay with him being this exaggerated? Absolutely. But ultimately, what we see now is that he's starting to turn into a rotated left hip. Obviously, this conversation had a lot to do with the pressure plate, and this had a lot to do with utilizing our torque numbers and having him understand why his torque numbers were so low and how we got them up a little bit more. Now, as we did such a thing, things started to fall into place. So now we have a lot more torso rotation, a lot more opening up with the chest, and then consequently, the way he created more forces in his feet, it got his hips to open up in a way that is certainly will benefit him, regardless of what club he's using. What we'll also take a look at here is through impact. So we're trying very hard to get him to be a little bit more on top of the ball. What I mean specifically on that, because that definition can be a little bit different, we're trying to get his belt buckle and his chest to feel pretty much in line with one another. What you start to see over here is his pelvis or his belt buckle versus where his sternum was or his chest had certainly a little bit more tilt, and that resulted in a little bit different use of where the low point was and really creating that proper descending blow into the golf ball. Now, if we look at this through the golf shot here on the right, you can see his body just stall, hands work super into out, versus now we start to really see that right side of the body rotate through. Club face is a lot more stable. Naturally, his path is a lot more stable as well. What I want to showcase here real quick is from a launch monitor standpoint. I'm not sure if I have it on this side. But from a launch monitor standpoint, as we look at the club path, it's only 4 degrees. When he first came in, he was in the 10, 11, 12 degrees into out with a 7 iron. So obviously we see how something like that happened, but naturally we certainly like the avenue that he's going down. Now, from the top view, what I want to show real quick is I really like, obviously being fortunate enough to have my own studio, indoor studio, we're able to have this above cam that Swing Catalyst provides us. And what we start to see specifically at impact is hip rotation, we really are a big fan of what's happened here in the hip rotation. And we're trying to be a little open with the shoulders, but again, I'm more chasing square shoulders at impact. Again, I'm not looking for something too crazy, but obviously on the right hand side of your screen, we were seeing the shoulders be a little bit more closed, and his hips, obviously, as we knew from the other side, started working inward a little bit more. But naturally, the path can really only go one direction here on the right hand side. And the path, we're going to really get the sucker back on plane here on the left hand side, resulting in much more of a stable club face, much more of a stable path, and naturally one happy camper swinging the golf club. So again, big shout out to Swing Catalyst. Really big shout out to Dr. Lynn. Real big shout out to Best Rep and Tim and Travis holding it down over the phones, helping us when we need help. Terrific company. Couldn't be happier. Excited for the dual plate to come in, hopefully in a few weeks. And then the last thing I'll leave you all with is one of my favorite features here. One of my students' favorite features is we're just looking at the difference on what happened here in the spine, what happened here in the hips, what happened here with the arms. Certainly a really nice difference.